To a novice reader, a published academic research paper often appears as a dense mass of words. The eye is drawn to the specialized vocabulary, which creates the impression of a solid, undifferentiated wall of text. But an experienced researcher reads that same paper differently. Instead of a wall, they see a highly organized blueprint. They perceive a deliberate sequence of functional tools used to build a specific argument. This difference in perception explains why students often struggle to emulate academic style. They frequently attempt to replicate a text's surface without understanding the structure that supports it. The issue often stems from how we define the word genre. Outside of academia, it is used to describe broad categories of media, like separating science fiction from romance in a library. In an academic setting, however, genres are social actions. They are the ways a specific community uses language to respond to recurring situations. To identify these patterns, researchers use an evidence-based method called genre analysis to reveal the underlying architecture of a text. This process takes a large sample of a specific text type and deconstructs its functional stages. The core unit of this analysis is the rhetorical move. A move is a distinct communicative act within a text. Every move is designed to achieve a specific function. One move might outline previous research, while the next move is specifically intended to justify the gap the writer's research will fill. These broader moves can be further subdivided into smaller, specific steps that execute that function. Carefully analyzing these moves reveals the specific sequence of social actions an expert writer uses to persuade their target audience. The largest structural unit in this system is the macrogenre. This describes a complete document, such as a research article or a dissertation. Macrogenres are not written as single, unbroken thoughts. They are complex assemblies of smaller, modular parts. These smaller, frequently recurring patterns are elemental genres. These are standard components, such as a narrative, a recount, or a procedure. By combining elemental pieces, like a procedure and an exposition, a writer builds a more complex structure, such as a laboratory report. Viewing texts as modular combinations of these elemental parts makes mastering complex academic writing a logical, scalable process. We can test this theory by looking at what seems like the most personal, unstructured piece of academic writing, the dissertation acknowledgement. This table shows the structural moves derived from 240 dissertation acknowledgements. Texts almost always begin with move 1, reflecting. They typically conclude with move 3, announcing. The center is move 2, thanking, systematically structured from academic help to moral support. Below, we see how an actual text maps onto this blueprint. The author reflects on middle age, executing move 1. Thanking their supervisor matches step 2.2. Thanking library staff satisfies step 2.3, and his wife fulfills 2.4. Finally, stating responsibility executes move 3. Even emotional expressions of gratitude in academia are governed by recognizable and deeply ingrained structural moves. If personal acknowledgments follow strict rules, what happens when we examine macrogenres across different academic fields? Different discourse communities value different types of arguments, which changes the required sequence of moves. This table compares functional stages of a scientific project proposal with a social sciences case study. The scientific proposal requires establishing aims, materials, and analytical methods. The social sciences case study, however, moves from background to analytical framework and findings. This occurs because a community's criteria for what constitutes evidence and truth dictate the structural moves they require from their members. Consequently, producing effective writing is a function of successfully executing the specific moves expected by a local discipline. An expert writer uses these structural patterns to assemble an argument from the ground up. A novice writer often focuses only on vocabulary. Because their work lacks the structural blueprint, it cannot support the argument. Without the correct sequence of moves, the structural logic fails, and the discourse community is unlikely to accept the paper. Explaining these moves provides consciousness raising for students, moving them toward independent production. Genre analysis takes abstract ideas about good writing and turns them into visible, teachable text features. Academic discourse and essayist literacy often act as a gatekeeping mechanism in higher education. Explaining these moves is a way to provide access to students from non-English speaking or marginalized backgrounds, who are often disadvantaged by the implicit nature of these rules. Recognizing the structural blueprint is a foundational requirement for participating in the academic conversation. Only after the rules and moves of a community are understood can a writer make the choice to either follow them or challenge them. Academic writing is an architecture of persuasion, and genre analysis provides the blueprint used to navigate it.